Yo, what is good, everyone? Appreciate you all for listening in. As you can see, there are no visuals whatsoever because what's truly on our minds, what we have our sights set on, is something we don't know. We don't know what it's going to be. It's the end game of One Piece. And we did just get a glimpse of this end game with the most recent chapter that just dropped, and we saw 12 individuals who are seemingly after the One Piece or are the closest to the One Piece. So, long ago, me and my guy, King Recon here, we talked about the intricacies of how One Piece's final war is going to go, and now it seems like things are really coming full circle. So, I'm very glad to be joined by him once again as we talk about the greatness that will be One Piece's endgame. So, with that, I have just one question on your mind, if possible. And the question is, who do you think, outside of the Yonko, obviously, outside of them, because those are the main four we've known are gunning for the One Piece, who do you think is the character with the most potential to claim the One Piece outside of those top four, if you have one in mind?
Well, first and foremost, awesome to be here with you again, brother. And last time we were together was for the Buggy Bash. Mm-hmm. So the fact that we got Buggy greatness in this
Buggy
chapter
was
awesome. You know what I mean?
See, I didn't even think of that. Stuff. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, but yeah, I'll love to the chat. I'll love to everybody who will listen to this. But man, besides the Yonko, I feel like if I had to pick one who's actually not even a pirate, I think Akainu, if he gets off the chair, would be the favorite to go out and claim it. You know what I mean?
Away from the office.
I'll get it before all these other pirates get it. You know, like screw them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he would probably be the one that obviously I think one of the Yonko is going to get it, and I think this chapter made it very interesting, where it might not necessarily be Luffy who gets it. You know, so I would go Akainu.
Yeah, I did think that, and I know we're getting really intricate now, where it's like the page layout itself. It said so much in just looking at how the characters were placed against one another or with one another, with the whole like division as the halfway point for the double page spread. There's so much in there, and I really think that there's so much stuff, like there's even still mystery as to what's going on. Like, if we're talking about the end game characters, it would make sense for people like some people have been sort of angry about this online, obviously, like, oh, why is it Mihawk there? Why is it Zoro there? Right? But that to me shows they're just not interested in the One Piece, obviously. You know, they're just not interested. But there are characters 100%. Who are subordinates to other characters who have differing goals, like Kobe and Akainu, like even Kuzan and Blackbeard, which I thought that was a very interesting placement.
I love that.
You know?
Yeah, and I think Emu, of course, being the only person in the entire world that is alive besides the Roger Pirates, who I'm sure knows what the One Piece is. Like I'm pretty sure Emu knows either knows what it is or has a good idea as to what it is. So because of the connection to Joy Boy, I'm fascinated by like by how Emu feels about the One Piece, and I hope that is something that we get like in post Egghead or something. Is like his either his motivation for the One Piece or the interest in the One Piece, especially with characters like Luffy and Blackbeard being the favorites, and those are the two bounty posters that he had. It's like, then we know it's connection to Joy Boy and all that stuff. So I wonder, there has to be some sort of end game connection there for Emu, because it looks like we're setting up Akainu, Emu, and Blackbeard as like the end game antagonists. So they all have to have a connection to the One Piece. So I'm looking forward to seeing Emu's connection to that for sure.
Yeah, I feel as though Emu's backstory, like, we're definitely going to get it. There's no doubt about that. That 100%. Could even be the Void Century flashback is also Emu's flashback. Kind of like how, you know, a lot of people won't admit the truth, but Odin's flashback is also essentially Kaido's flashback, or at least a fraction of it, because we're probably going to get more with rocks and all that. So stuff like that, where it blends it blends together all the stuff. I think it'll definitely happen because it's not just going to be Emu or the Void Century. It's going to be Joy Boy as well because obviously he's
Exactly.
got to be integral to it. So having a character with such legacy in the One Piece world and such absurd impact, you know, and still being alive, obviously, having
Hmm.
their perspective on what the One Piece is, I think will definitely be incredibly interesting.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. It's like every single time that we get one of the Gorosei talking about Nika and or Joy Boy as like
Mm.
this present figure, or hearing Emith talk about Joy Boy and stuff. It's like these are individuals who actually knew this character, so it's different. Vegapunk presents theories and ideas, but when you have like Emith or Zunisha talk about him as like a friend or a companion, it's a different perspective. And I think Emu, after chapter 1085, where he was like, "Hey, you guys have no idea. You all who like swing the like bearing the D, not knowing exactly what it means. It's like you guys have no idea what you're representing." And I think that type of perspective for the One Piece would be so cool. So I'm looking
Mm.
forward to that.
I definitely agree. Like learning about what the Will of D even is, obviously,
Right.
that'll come
Right.
into why Emu is so hateful towards these people, and I think that
Exactly.
it shows so much potential. And one of the things I've been thinking about a lot more as of late is Emu. It obviously is going to be one of the endgame opponents, but
Hmm.
I've been starting to think like the Gorosei, the Celestial Dragons, like the Gorosei seemingly are, you know, they're obviously monsters, like they're immensely
Yeah.
strong, awful people. But I've been starting to think like where are the Gorosei even gonna place at the end game?
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know, where are they gonna go? Because the Straw
Right.
Hats, we're already seeing them fight them and like do some stuff, not like
Yes.
obviously defeat them on their own, but
Right.
I feel as though if we're talking about the end game, the Straw Hats fighting them makes sense to me. But how exactly is it all going to pan out with all these other, you know, pieces on the chessboard, as you
Right.
might say?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right, dude. I think the one that we could all place our bets down and put our stocks into is it'll be the Revs versus the Holy Knights. So like that,
Mm.
we can put that to the side and be like, okay, that's confirmed. But even on top of that, all of us expect a Kainu to fight either Luffy, Sabo, or Dragon. So like
Oh,
that's
okay.
another idea as well. So at some point in time, the Marines and the Holy Knights are going to be in, or they could do both, right? Like with the mystery character and of the 12 here at the end of the chapter, who we all believe is something related to the Figureland and has the same exact silhouette as the whenever the Holy Knights were shown. So we know for a fact he's a Holy Knight.
Mm.
The question is he going to fight Sabo or Dragon or whoever? And then if that's the case, then who is the Kainu in the battle? Because Luffy has to get the get back for Marineford, but at the same time,
Absolutely.
Sabo could get that as well for him, right?
Absolutely.
Because so it's like who knows when it comes to that. But in regards to some of the other characters, I've been thinking a lot about matchups, Kev, in regards to that final panel is very interesting. It's sort of, I'm not saying that it implies that we're gonna get Luffy versus Shanks and Blackbeard versus Buggy,
No,
but what I am
I get it though. I get it though.
you get
That's
it.
the
You get it.
thing.
You get it. It's like,
Like
yo, that feels like the thing that would be so cool to get before, obviously, like
Luffy
the
and
big
Blackbeard.
stuff starts
Yeah.
happening. Exactly. Like, how awesome would it be for Luffy versus Shanks, and then we get Buggy versus Blackbeard, which was let's just say that hypothetically speaking, that is the battle where Buggy awakens conquers Hockey. How awesome would that be,
Oh my
man? How cool
god,
would that
bro.
be, bro? You
Oh
know,
my god. And
like
hear me out. You know why that would be a sick matchup? Like I'm
mm-hmm,
just thinking about it now. You know Blackbeard's move Liberation, right? Where he like sucks
right.
everything up and then throws it away. Like Buggy could chop up every single bit of Liberation and it wouldn't even
True.
hurt him. That would go
True.
so crazy.
Oh, I would go hard. It's like a match made in heaven for those two. It's like they would negate each other basically, which is
Yeah.
super super cool.
See, Buggy, this is like low key Buggy gassing him up, but
Yeah.
you know what it reminds me of? It's not like a tournament arc like literally, but it
Hmm.
reminds me of like in real life, you know, fighting. There's like the undercard before the main
Right.
event. I feel
Yep.
as though even the way the page is kind of set up, we got the 4 heavy hitters and then the 8
Yep.
others that are just there
Exactly.
that are important, but they're not
Yep.
like the fight. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's like their importance lies elsewhere, right? Like
Yeah,
Dragon and then they're obviously extremely important for the overall story. So is Akainu. Inu is arguably the most important. But in terms of like for the One Piece itself, like the treasure, we all know it's gonna be one of those 4.
yeah,
And like I was alluding to earlier, it's so interesting that Vegapunk says that the individual who Joy Boy is waiting for may not be the person who actually gets the One Piece. Like that's pretty much Oda telling us. Similar to like the Whitebeard speech, like you're not the man Roger's waiting for. Like obviously the individual that Roger and Joy Boy are waiting for, now thanks to this chapter, may not be the one who ends up finding it first, and that leaves a lot of course, because obviously the individual they're waiting for is Luffy, but
of
this
course.
chapter raises the idea of like, hold up, he might not be the one to get there first. Like Blackbeard or Buggy, for example, might be the ones who get there first. And I think that would be so interesting because I've always thought of the possibilities of them going ham in a battle on Laugh Tale before the One Piece is found. And I think with this chapter, especially with the final panel, it makes it feel like there might be like a Royal Rumble before
Mm.
the like the Royal Rumble at Laugh Tale before they get inside and see what the treasure is. I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on that because like obviously we've been talking a lot about Buggy King of the World stuff for years, a Blackbeard King of the World stuff for years, but I think this chapter is our biggest indication to yes, one of them might find that before Luffy does.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it's actually kind of wild. Like the possibilities have really opened after Vegapunk saying that in this chapter.
Yeah, I completely agree there. And I personally felt as though Elbaf could have been that battle royale kind of free
Mm.
for all arc because
Mm-hmm.
it's like the second they called it the War Land, I'm like, okay,
Right.
something is gotta go down here, right?
Great point.
Something.
Mm-hmm.
And Egghead already has been kind of insane with
Yeah.
Kizaru and the Gorosei, but at the end of the day, and Cypherpole, obviously,
Right.
at the end of the day, all these people were aligned in some form against
Yeah.
Luffy. If it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay, Blackbeard shows up and he sees Shanks and Luffy, who is he going to
Mm-hmm.
go after? Like,
100%.
realistically, he could go after
Yep.
either of them and have just as much
Yep.
drive to do so.
Right. He could even go after Buggy because like for example if the Buggy rocks theories are true and Blackbeard truly is interested in the whole rocks scenario and situation, why would he not? Especially since this is the first. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, the Buggy is like Rock's son, right? This is somebody who is connected to both Rox and Roger, two legendary individuals, and he
Absolutely.
has the same power as Luffy to attract people to him. Like if I'm Blackbeard, I'm like, man, this guy's as big of a
He's a
threat
threat.
as anyone else. Yeah,
And he has the connections to Shanks and Luffy as well. Like he
exactly.
has, and he's like the head of the underworld pretty much. He's got a
Yes.
lot of deep running ties, so I
Yep.
can understand
Do,
that.
do you think that that's going to be a major factor here in post Egghead, specifically with the Garp being captured stuff? Like, do you think Buggy and the Cross Guild they put out a bounty or something like like
Garp?
for Garp or for one of the characters out there that would force like pirates to go out there and move to go out and get them, or they themselves go and show up at Blackbeard's lair, going for Garp with the intent of bringing him in as a bounty. Like, what do you think about that idea?
Mm, that's fun. I like that a lot, and it works with two kind of different plot lines, right? So the first one obviously is well, they're both connected to this theme. Is that the Cross Guild is obviously mostly comprised of warlords, and who is a warlord on Blackbeard's Island? Moria. And Moria, obviously, that would be his perfect way to return to the narrative, and he would be against Blackbeard, which would maybe even force the other members to then be against Blackbeard. That would be funny.
Great point. Great point.
If we get into the underworld aspect, obviously the head of the underworld before Buggy was Doflamingo, and Doflamingo is interested in Crocodile in some fashion, that he wanted them to work together in Marineford, and if he sees how well Buggy's doing, maybe he'll be like, oh, let me join you. And obviously he doesn't want to join him, wants to like manipulate him. You know, classic Doflamingo gaslighting. So Could be something
Dude,
like that for either plotline.
if Buggy gets the warlords, like almost all of them under him, I already think he's a massive threat. But you bring Dofi and Moria into this, which Moria, of course, can amass like a massive army and be extremely dangerous himself. But
Yeah.
bring a conqueror like Dofi into the picture, who's also very conniving and calculating. Oh man, dude, we would be so in there.
And Dofi knows the secrets. He knows. That
Right,
means Buggy
right.
might know because of
That's true.
because of the through line there. That would be
That's
pretty
true.
crazy. That'd be pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So I do want to jump on something you said earlier, which is that you think that the silhouette person who was on the final 12 page
Mm-hmm.
is related to the God Knights. You
Mm-hmm.
even mentioned Figureland specifically. Do you
Right.
think this is like? I personally am not a believer of this theory, but
Mm-hmm.
the Shanks twin theory. Have you heard of this theory?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
So
heard
do
of the
you
theory.
think this is Shanks twin? Is that like what you're
I,
personally thinking?
I would not be surprised if it is, just based on how Oda has gone about like the chapter 907 stuff and all of that. Like it would make a lot of sense. My question is, if we are to do a Shanks twin thing,
Okay.
what would be the narrative purpose behind it? Right? Like if let's just say Shanks, hypothetically speaking, does have a twin who's also extremely nasty, and he is the leader of the Holy Knights right under Garling. What
Mm-hmm.
would be the narrative purpose behind that, and what would we do with such a thing, right? Because, like I said, let's say they look exactly the same. He also has the Griffin, and
Mm-hmm.
they maybe even have like a similar move set or whatever the case may be. What would be the intent from Oda's side of things to do this? And I think it would be a fantastic way for him to showcase the going back to Shanks' story and everything, for us to get that Shanks flashback through both this new character and Shanks, and
Mm-hmm.
showcase where Shanks went differentiated from this character, because maybe at the God Valley incident, he was picked up by Roger. The other one was there
Yeah.
with Garling. Garling took him, raised him up to be this knight of legend, whatever, to be like the greatest God's knight. And then Shanks followed Roger, and then whenever he found out who he actually was, he had to make a decision whether to follow his lineage or to follow the person whom he trusted or loved the most, which was Roger. And I think when you bring in the Buggy scene from chapter 282 and when Shanks decided he wasn't going to do it, I think it adds so many layers of complexity that if you add this new layer of a
Mm-hmm.
character who did fulfill the wishes of the father or of the lineage versus the one who didn't, I think it would bring in that One Piece sense of freedom, and that seek of romance, that search of romance that is
Mm-hmm.
so key and important to this series. That for me is why I think the Shanks twin thing would work if Oda were to go through with it. Do I think that's what it is? I'm like 50-50 on it. But the reason why I think I would be so down for it is because of that. Because I do believe Oda would have a plan in mind to explore the themes of the series through both of those characters. And obviously, if Shanks is like the coolest dude in the series, then this guy has to be like worse than Stelly. You know what I mean? He's
Oh
gonna be
my
like the worst
god.
Celestial Dragon ever. Will also be. It would be like a character who is as bad as Stelly personality wise, but as strong as
As
Shanks. And I think
Shanks.
that would
Yeah.
that would create such a great antagonist. So that would be down for that.
Yeah. So one thing I actually thought of while you were mentioning that is that we actually already do have a pair of Celestial Dragon twin. I don't know if they're twins, to be completely honest. I always assumed
Right.
they were, which is obviously Doflamingo and his brother. And that was a
Right.
whole major theme that they did with the
Great
nature
point.
versus nurture, where it shows like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, if you're cared for, you end up different. And Shanks and his possible sibling could be very similar.
Yeah.
But here's what I'm kind of thinking. I'm not as much on the twin thing because I feel like it would be even crazier if we're assuming Garling is Shanks' dad, right? Not like
Right.
granddad, like not some
Mm-hmm.
garp to Shanks' Luffy.
Mm-hmm.
What if Garling, like obviously he lost his kid or whatever, like that's what he thinks, like it was taken,
Yeah.
And then because of that, instead of forcing an already existing kid, right? He has
Mm-hmm.
another one and then forces him to be like, you know what I mean? I think that would personally be more
Mm.
impactful
That
because
would be
that would
more impactful.
show that the character is solely existing because of Shanks's absence, and that would explain a
Oh,
lot more baggage to
I
me
like that.
because Oda
Yeah.
already went into the twin angle
Great
with
point.
Doflamingo and Rocinante, and it
Yeah.
shows like, oh, people who are the exact same can split off, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
he's never gone into the whole thing of, oh, I lost a child, which is kind of crazy because Oda always has the kid's parents die and
True.
never the opposite. So
Yeah.
I think that would,
Dude, I like that a lot, Kev. That's a great idea. Yeah, you're right. And that would add so much weight to the situation on both halves. Like, imagine Shanks figuring that out. And he's like, man, it's because of me that this individual was forced into that position, right? Like, I like that a lot, dude. I like that a lot.
and
That's a great idea.
maybe sorry, I'm like liking this idea now the more I'm mentioning.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the reason Shanks is feeling bad is like, oh look, me being taken caused this person to exist, and this person is someone who's killed hundreds of people in the name of these
Mm-hmm.
awful people, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be the one that gets to see the One Piece, gets to reap the
Right.
benefits of what Roger did. I don't,
Right.
that would explain a lot of his baggage.
It would.
Obviously,
It would.
the Celestial Dragon stuff alone, I think, explains the baggage. He's like, oh
Mm-hmm.
God, I'm part of the people that caused the world to be like this. And if you just keep adding on layer by layer, like, not to be that guy, but maybe that's why Shanks drinks all the time. Maybe that's why. He's
Dude,
like,
dude.
God.
I mean, look at the most recent chapter, right? Like everybody who was listening to Vegapunk speak, who was in some sort of relation to Roger, they were all drinking.
Yeah.
So it's like they were. That's why of course we talk about the Joy Boy tragedy thing. Like,
Mm.
listen, man, if I'm reminded of something that horrible, I wouldn't blame Rayleigh for passing out by drinking either.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like if Shanks is going through this situation you're talking about, it's like no wonder he spends his time doing that. Like it makes
Absolutely.
sense, which is why like he goes and meets the Luffy's and like, the two piece main character from Elbaf, trying to inspire them to become their own individuals and people as well. It would add so much to
Yeah.
Shanks as a character. I like that a lot.
And it would, uh, I don't know how you feel about it at this rate, but I'm still a
Mm-hmm.
film red enjoyer. I enjoyed that movie
Oh, I
quite a
love
bit.
Film Red, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it.
And I feel as though that would further explain him distancing himself from whether it's Uta or Luffy. He's distancing
Right.
himself more and more. And Shanks
Yeah.
obviously clearly had the opportunity to meet Luffy countless times.
Yeah.
Wano, Marineford, he could have just showed up
Mm-hmm.
whenever, but he
Yep.
chose not to inspire him to be a better person. He chose to
Yep.
let his impact be short and sweet, you know?
Yep. Yep.
And maybe he does that specifically because if they do get too close, Luffy might learn the truth in a way, and it will make him look like the bad guy because one of
Interesting.
Luffy's brothers was killed by a celestial dragon.
Great
What
point.
what would that make him think about Shat? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a great point, dude. And like you said, it would be a beautiful thing. I mean, obviously, I don't think Luffy would care, but it's the idea of like Shanks potentially thinking that other people would care about such a thing, right? Like it's that perception. That's so interesting.
Yeah. My bad. I was just drinking some water. Um,
I know you're good.
so I do think it's really interesting though what you say about I agree. Luffy wouldn't care about your lineage or whatever. He doesn't care
Yep.
about the past. He always cares about the present. That's what makes him
Yep.
such a emotionally intelligent character, you know?
Hmm.
So this arc obviously having Bonnie, who is a celestial dragon, but not at all like a celestial
Yeah.
dragon, like at all.
Yep.
I think might
Yep.
even be foreshadowing to what Oda's doing with Shanks, especially with her being taken
Mm.
as an infant back down to like the
Mm.
Blue Sea. Like that's pretty much
Hmm.
what happened beat for beat with Shanks.
Hmm.
So maybe
Hmm.
all these Celestial Dragon storylines that he's done, Doflamingo, Bonnie, maybe this is
Yeah,
all like him testing the waters because Oda's been known
yeah,
to do this type of stuff. He's like,
for
okay,
sure.
let me tweak this a little bit. Let me see what's up. Like, obviously,
Hmm.
Vivi, first princess character, and then what do you know it? After he's like, wow, I enjoyed doing that. He does it like a bajillion more times.
More
So
time. Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
don't know.
Oda definitely. It feels like he'll set the table. Like I'll look at Bratier as an example. Right, like Bratier is the beginning of the One Piece arc structure that we know and love today. He just
Mm,
evolved and continued to to expand that formula throughout all of these years. But it's that very same thing that makes One Piece so cool. Is he'll take these ideas that he used in the past and he'll remake them or reimagine them to fit whatever's working here in the present. And that worked very well with something like Kuma's flashback, right? Which feels
mm,
like an amalgamation of ideas that he's formulated throughout the course of the series. But then you put it in that guy's hands for Kuma and Bonnie's a dual POV flashback, and it's just absolutely brilliant. So if he were to do something like that with Shanks, like you said, from the characters we've already seen, especially from a Celestial Dragon standpoint, it would just be like, man, here we go. Let's go,
yeah,
dude. Flip and go.
yeah. It's really funny because I'm not even necessarily a Shanks guy. You know, like Shanks,
Mm-hmm.
he's the
Mm-hmm.
goat, of course, he's the goat.
Yeah, yeah.
But he's not like one of my top 10. You know what I mean? He's
I
just
got you.
a
I
very
got you.
great character, and I think that he's honestly he's very similar to Dragon, but because of the mystery surrounding the
Mm-hmm.
character. But I
Mm-hmm.
feel more potential with Shanks than I do with Dragon. Obviously, does have potential, but I feel
Yeah.
like I could see the direction of where Shanks's character is going in a
Yeah.
lot of the ways because of
Mm-hmm.
the importance he has to the main narrative of
Mm-hmm.
not the main narrative. He obviously is important to that, but also the emotional narrative of
Right.
Luffy. He is the
Yeah.
end game. He's what he strives to be. So having him as someone who's seen as such a positive have all these
Mm-hmm.
seemingly negative downsides, that it's interesting. It's interesting because it's one of those like never um, what's the phrase? Like never meet your heroes. I think that's the
Right.
phrase, right?
Yeah.
And Shanks
He's
obviously maybe feels that way.
with Shanks is so interesting because he's obviously one of my favorite characters, and
Mm,
it's for a lot of different reasons. But going back to the repetition thing from earlier, even look at chapter 1079, right? Like 1079 is a remake of chapter one, where rather than Higuma coming in and pointing a gun, it was Kid that pointed a gun. And Shanks was like, "All right, man, you better watch where you're pointing that thing." And that's whenever he
yep.
took action. Except this time, we actually saw him do his thing, right? And so because of that, I have so much. There's only so much potential for Shanks from like we talked about like a narrative or a main story or emotional perspective. But I
Mm.
feel like Shanks could be the Jing of One Piece, where he feels like he's the
Oh,
embodiment of everything the series stands for, right? Like that's what I love so much about Jing as a character is he represents Hunter x Hunter in every sense of the word, like every single aspect from his design to the abilities to the concept, the idea of Jing that is Hunter x Hunter. And I feel like when we find out Shanks' entire story,
mm.
it's going to be like Luffy, Shanks, Roger, Joy Boy as like the embodiment representation of what Oda was trying to say with One Piece from the very very beginning of the series.
Mm.
With Dragon, I feel like there is so much potential from a perspective of not only very exciting things, but also very similar elements of like what does freedom mean, right? Like we're gonna see that explored through a character like Dragon, who is obviously in the middle of two other characters who are very free. Garp is a very
Mm.
free individual, and so is Luffy. So if the person in the middle who created a revolutionary army based around this concept it has to be one of the best representations of freedom that we will ever see in the series. Is whenever we see Dragon take action and see his story and stuff like that. So I feel like I'm so excited for both of them for very different reasons.
Mm.
But I will say this in regards to like potential future stuff. Obviously, I feel like besides the One Piece, Luffy meeting Shanks is like the thing I'm most excited about. But the idea of Dragon potentially meeting Emu will always loom in my mind as like, if that were to happen, that's going to be one of the greatest moments in the history of the series. So there's
Yeah.
just so much potential for both characters, great moments, fantastic character writing and stuff. But man, the One Piece like hype level moments, there's so many that Shanks and Luffy, or I'm sorry, that Shanks and Dragon are going to have here in the coming weeks. And I actually have a
Oh,
question in
definitely.
regards to that to you.
Okay.
Um, since we're about to reach the end of Egghead, and I'm going to assume we're going to have like 4 to 5 chapters at least around the world.
Oh,
What are
okay.
you expecting? What are you expecting from these chapters that are
Okay.
incoming? Because it's almost that time, bro. It's almost that
Yeah, I
time.
was gonna say because I personally think Egghead is really close to finishing up.
Me
Like
too.
not the arc, but like
Yeah.
us at this location at this time.
Yes.
Like
Exactly.
I genuinely wouldn't be shocked if we're out of there next chapter. Like we are
Same.
leaving. Um,
Yep.
because a lot of the through lines are full circle. Like the fact that I don't know if you've been seeing this going around, but I saw someone talk about this, and I thought it was really clever. The fact that Lilith was the first Vegapunk we were introduced to, and now Lilith
Yep.
is the only Vegapunk. Well, technically,
Yep.
the only Vegapunk. That's because I think York is personally going to got really soon.
For
So
sure. For sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I don't know, stuff like that. It's just we're getting all the way back to the beginning. Atlas had the great moment at the beginning, and then all the way back. Now at the end, Atlas had another great moment. I feel like things are really
hmm
coming full circle, and we just got the emotional moment with Bonnie,
Yes.
showing up to Saturn. That was fantastic.
hmm Fantastic.
Um, so a lot of the stuff is really coming full circle, and I wouldn't be shocked if we see more. And I personally think the speech is pretty much done. Like I feel like
Yep.
there can't be much more after you name drop the One Piece. It's like
Yeah,
okay,
bro.
we're getting to that point.
Yep.
um, so
Yep.
what I'm personally expecting, I don't think here's what I'll tell you what I don't expect. I don't think we're gonna see Vivi because Oda
Mm.
is gonna save Vivi for her meeting the Straw Hats. I think that's what
Mm.
he's gonna save her for because we've already
hmm
seen her quite a bit. We even had that whole part in the Reverie where we saw what she was up to.
Yep.
So I think holding off on showing her would be personally better for me. So it's like even
Okay.
more
Okay.
impactful where she shows up. I do think
hmm
she could show up. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's gonna
For
be
sure.
anything like insane. But hey, if she's literally like we have to go find them, that would be pretty
hmm
pretty awesome.
I
Like,
think I I think the only way we see BB in these chapters is if she is the one who reveals Emu to the world. I think that's
mm,
the only way that because I feel like the thing that she would have to do next besides that is have that meeting with the Straw Hats. So I'm right there with you. Unless Vivi goes out and stands with Big News Morgans and is like, yo, and Morgans is like, yo, Princess Vivi announces to the world the existence of a person who sits at the throne of the center of Marijoa. That
mm.
would be the one thing that I feel like Vivi could do before the Straws reunite with her. But if that doesn't happen, then yeah, I agree with you. I think that's the next time we'll see Vivi for sure.
Yeah, because here's what I'm thinking. You did bring up Vivi revealing Emu. That I personally think
Mm-hmm.
would be the best choice because obviously Emu killed
Yeah.
her father. I think that would be a great
Mm-hmm.
choice to reveal it. But I think it would be even more impactful if she reveals it with the Straw Hats. Like she's like,
Oh,
I'm joining
yes.
them, or I already
Yeah.
joined them. Here's why.
Yeah.
And you know
Right.
what? Oh, and actually, I'm even more sold on this now because when Vivi was giving that speech to her people, she had to deny her connection to the Straw Hats, and now she's giving
Mm.
her speech to the whole world, and now she's
World.
reaffirming that
Announcing her
bond.
affiliation. Oh, I like
Exactly.
that. I
No,
like that, dude.
that is some that's some Oda stuff right there.
Yeah.
Genuinely,
Yeah,
I,
because
like
I could see it being built up to similar to the Big Punk thing where everybody's like, "Oh, the Straw Hats have taken Princess Vivi hostage," da 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 da, and the Vivi turns around, goes to the rest of the world, and is like, "No, the Straw Hats are not taking me hostage. I have been a Straw Hat pirate for the past 2 years, and
oh
this is the reason why." Like,
No, no.
That'd be
Honestly,
so peak.
that's spoilers. You literally just said spoilers, right? That's gonna happen. That is
I can't.
inevitable.
Yeah,
That is
yeah, dude.
inevitable. Oh my
So
god. Oh my god. Wow. Wow. So, outside of Vivi, because obviously Vivi it will be a pivotal character coming up.
hmm
I'm hoping. I was gonna say I'm hoping to see Kid and Law, but again, I don't know. Like, I
yeah.
don't know. There are a lot of characters where I'm genuinely like, I don't think they're gonna get shown.
hmm
I think Garp
I
is
don't.
definitely
Yeah.
the one I don't think will be shown at all. I think Oda's
Okay.
really trying to sell to us that he's dead. I don't
Okay.
think he is at all, but I think he's really trying to sell this
Yeah.
idea because the fact that Garp, I mean, Garp might not be after the One Piece. To be fair, he might not be,
Yeah.
but he is like one of those
Yeah.
characters that is so impactful in the story, and we
hmm
haven't seen him since his final message, um,
Right.
final lesson actually. Um, we haven't seen him since that, so I think Oda's really trying to sell. Maybe it's just me being like jaded to this point, but like I
hmm
think you agree. There's at least like there's a likelihood he's alive at least, more
Oh,
than
for
other
sure.
characters. Yeah,
I, I think he's like 99.9% alive.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and the reason why I say that is because I have a strong feeling next time we see Garp, we're gonna see the Ace parallel, right? We're gonna see him chained up, and then someone's gonna come and have a conversation with Garp, the same way Garp had a conversation with Ace, and also the same
Oh,
way that Garp had a conversation with Roger, right? Like Garp saw Ace and Roger being chained up, and now he's gonna be placed in that very same situation where he's chained up as well.
bro.
So we have to have that parallel that comes in. Now I wonder who's going to be having the conversation with him. Is it going to be Kuzan? Is it going to be Blackbeard? Like I'm interested.
Mm,
I'm interested.
yeah. No, honestly, this is some. I didn't even think about the Ace parallel. That's genius, genius right there.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And I'm just thinking like if it is like because obviously Roger is the Pirate King. He's the
Mm-hmm.
Pirate King. How crazy would it
Mm-hmm.
be if after Blackbeard finds the One Piece, like because this will be a bit down the line, obviously. Let's say after
Yeah.
Blackbeard finds the One Piece in the craziest hypothetical ever, which isn't too crazy after what Vegapunk said.
True.
What if he then talks to Garp and it's like a direct parallel with the Pirate King and the hero of the
Oh.
Marines because
Yeah.
because Kobe is seemingly the new Garp and Blackbeard
Mm-hmm.
and Kobe have that be oh that would be insane.
No, I would love that. Yeah, I
Uh
would so love that.
man.
Yeah.
I oh what were you gonna say?
Oh my bad. I was going to say on the same line of thought. One of the characters I'm most interested on seeing after Egghead. Not sure if it's going to be after Egghead or after Elbaf. Is going to be Kobe and the rest of Sword, right? Because obviously we know Smoker is on the move. We don't know where exactly he's going. So and also we saw X Drake as well within that
Yes,
stretch of
sir.
chapters too. So there's a lot of characters that we know have the potential to be related to Sword and or are members of Sword. And because of what's happening with Garp, considering how important Kobe is going to be for the end game, as indicated by that final 12 character spread,
Hmm.
I feel like some of those characters have to be highlighted here in post Egghead / post Elbaf, right? I'm not sure which one is going to be highlighted where, but I do expect Kobe to be one of the characters who's in both. So I
Okay.
think Kobe will be in post Egghead and then in post Elbaf again to see that continuation. And I don't know
Agreed.
exactly where he's going to be going, or where we're going to see from his character, but I would not be surprised if we see like the entirety of like Sword being distraught at the fact that Garp is gone, what they should do, and that's whenever Kobe
Kobe
pulls
rises
up the
up.
pants and
Yeah.
he's like, "Yo," and he delivers like one of the greatest speeches and or moments for his character so far, just similar to what he did in Marineford. I think that would be such a great moment, except it's for, of course, his people.
Yes.
And to rise up the members as being like an actual passing of the torch moment, even though Garp's not there, it would be that moment of him being like, yeah, like this is mine. Like we're gonna take our boy back. Just
Yes.
follow me, and we're gonna go make it happen. Like, how awesome would that be, bro?
That would be
That would be great.
fantastic, man. Fantastic. I do really think that Kobe, like the fact that Kobe was on that final 12, it was that was one of the nails in the coffin. I'm like, oh, One Piece is getting close to that point.
Yeah.
Like Kobe, you
Yep.
know how crazy it is that Kobe is recognized over Kizaru and
Mm-hmm.
Fujitora? That shows
Mm-hmm.
how far we are in this
Yep.
game, you know?
Yep. Yep.
And
Hundred percent.
it's amazing, man. It's amazing seeing
It's amazing, dude.
the honesty impact, seeing stuff like this.
Yeah.
It's like I couldn't believe it while reading it
Yeah,
for the
man.
first time. It was genuinely like magic, you know, seeing that
Yeah.
like that stretch of we're away from Egghead. So I am
Mm-hmm.
expecting a lot a lot of build up with like you said, a lot of the characters we have seen around the world. I'm expecting um after what was revealed with Roger, which obviously was a lot of reactions around the
Yep.
world, I'm expecting to see even more because I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that's one of the biggest reveals, you know, for the One Piece world. Obviously, we've known about this
Oh, for sure.
forever, but these
Yeah.
people, they haven't known for such a long
Exactly.
time, and maybe that'll have them looking like, oh wait, he has one, and he's the Pirate King. Well, what about all
Mm-hmm.
these other characters? You know what I mean? It'll
Exactly.
probably get them to think about what does
Yep.
this actually mean. It's definitely
Yep.
something more than just a name at this point.
Right.
So
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you, dude. And it's going to be a lot, right? Because obviously the newspaper at the end of the arc is going to say a lot of crazy stuff. Maybe like Morgan does not go through, thanks to BB, does not go through with the Vegapunk, or like goes back on the statement of Luffy taking Vegapunk hostage, replaces it with something else, or something huge is going to be in the newspaper that like sort of solidifies uh, where we're going to be heading at towards the end of the series. Because obviously that message was more so for the major players around the world and the characters we've already known than the random people around the world. Because I feel like
mm,
the random people are not going to, at least for now, they're not. A lot of them are going to be like, what in the world is this guy talking about? Like, it's a bunch of nonsense. They've been living under the Marine propaganda for a long time.
mm.
But then, of course, there's going to be people like the 8 countries under the Revolutionary Army that there's going to be more like them popping out after this statement, and it's also going to affirm or reaffirm those 8 countries that they're going to stay under the Revolutionary Army and fight for the cause. So it's like it's setting up the rumblings for the rest of the world turning on the Soldier Dragons and stuff of that nature. But it can't happen at the end of Egghead. So I feel like the major reason for that message going around is, like you said, for the other major players around the world to have their reactions. Your Dofis, can't believe we still saw Skypiea in last chapter.
That was
The
wild.
Gaimons,
That was really
we saw
wild for
Gin,
Skypiea.
like it's like all these characters that we know are going to come back in the final saga at some point during that final war. That was for them to hear so that they could make their decision on which side they want to be on. Because obviously it's getting to that point to where we're going to have that war that Whitebeard was talking about. And then you got to pick your side, man. Like, you got to make a decision. So I feel like that speech, that's the reason why Oda took the time to show all those messages, obviously for fan service as well. But to also let individuals around the world know, like, yeah, man, this is on the horizon, dude. Like you guys have to understand.
It's coming sooner than you think. You know?
It's coming, and like the people within the verse itself need to prepare themselves for what's incoming. And I'm right there with you. I do believe that post Egghead is going to continue those reactions in terms of we're going to see some characters move thanks to that message. So, like, I wouldn't be surprised if like we cut over to Crocus and Laboon, and Crocus is like, man, Laboon, like it's almost that time, like the time that Roger and I saw whatever, like stuff like that is what I'm really interested by. Is after hearing the message, how are some players in the world going to move? And I think the biggest player of them all is Emu. So like I feel like Emu in post Egghead after this message is going to have the biggest move. I don't know if it's the Godosei coming back and we see like an angry Emu face reveal.
Oh, that would be crazy.
Like, you know how awesome that would be? Like, after
Yeah.
hearing what was said over the thing, Emu makes the decision, all right, screw all of this. Like, it's time for me to make my move as well. Like, there's so much potential for Emu greatness, because I feel like the one individual who has the most stake in this, besides the players for the One Piece, is Emu, obviously.
Yeah.
So post Egghead has to give us some Emu greatness, especially after the Gorosei failed. We need it.
Oh yeah.
We
Oh
need
yeah.
it.
So I have two questions immediately. I love the angry face
Okay.
reveal. So
Okay.
I'm 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 curious what you think of this. I've been thinking
Mm-hmm.
about it more and more about what the egghead incident is. It obviously could be the speech. It could be the
Yeah.
Gorosei showing up. It could be a lot of stuff. Obviously, a lot
Yeah.
of stuff. It
Or a
could be
combination of all of them.
of all of it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But one thing I've been thinking is that I don't know if you've heard, but the editor said that there's one more thing that has to happen. And it's
Oh.
like, what is that? And so what I personally think it might be at this rate
Mm-hmm.
is that Saturn is actually dead. That Bonnie and Luffy just
Mm.
killed Saturn in that last chapter. And I think this would add a lot to the story personally, because
Okay.
Saturn's whole arc is pretty much done. We have the whole,
Okay.
the villain gets defeated. It's very gratifying.
Mm-hmm.
But with
Mm-hmm.
one of the Gorosei being taken down, it adds a lot of world shattering things. It's like these guys aren't invincible. These people
Exactly.
who have been alive for seemingly hundreds of years, they're
Mm-hmm.
not, unbreakable. And that would be what
Yeah.
makes Emu really angry.
Yeah.
But here's what makes it really good, in my opinion. Because we know that Katarina can turn into Saturn. So the world as we know it,
Ooh.
the world as we know it will never know Saturn is dead.
That's so good. That's so
And
good.
that would be the in Blackbeard needs to become a nation in the world government, which would allow him to slink his
Yep.
way towards Emu, towards, more
I love that.
power. And it's just,
I
I feel
love
like
that.
that has to be the case. I feel like everything would just come, to its end in a really great way there. Because,
Yep.
like, in the most genuine way, what is the purpose of Saturn in the narrative at this point? Because we
Yep.
already saw him the longest. His emotional baggage is already dealt with. And,
Yep.
he's, I don't want to say he's seemingly the weakest one. People do think that
Mm-hmm.
is the case. But
Mm-hmm.
he was the first one. So him going out as well, just, it makes sense to me. I don't know.
Dude, Kev, I love that idea. Let me add a little bit onto it.
Okay.
Imagine, because I do believe the final thing we'll see in Egghead is Emeth firing whatever the Flagnar's that weapon is, and taking out, or not taking out, but like heavily damaging the Gorosei. So just imagine that whatever goes off, all of the Gorosei members get caught in the impact. And the one that comes in to save them is who they believe to be Saturn, but they're so injured
It's
they can't confirm.
Katarina. Oh
So
my
Katarina comes
god.
in, is like, "Yo, I'll help you guys. Like, let's go back to the Holy Land." And that's whenever Katarina Devon and the Gorosei transport back to Emu. I think that would be so cool, and it would make sense, obviously, because Emeth going out and firing whatever this thing is obviously going to do a lot of damage if it's been built up. So if they're not going to have the opportunity to really confirm whether that's Saturn or not, it's not even going to like cross their minds. Like, of course this is Saturn. Who else would this be, right? So this individual comes in as like they're really heavily damaged and asked to help them. So they're not going to question it. Yeah, let's go back. We'll be good. We need to reassess the situation and go back and do this, right. But they're not going to think that that's an imposter, and I think that would be like the best way for that theory to go about. And
Yeah.
dude, because I've been thinking a lot about the Katarina Devon thing as well, but when we combine it with what's happening with Emeth, it makes so much sense. And man, like you said, that would be the end that Blackbeard needs, bro.
Exactly.
Like, oh, let's go.
He has someone on the inside already. And
Yeah.
we don't even know what Lafitte's up to. Obviously, there are people who think Lafitte is connected to Marie Joie in some way. How did he get into there in the first place? And there's a lot of people
Right.
who are hooked on this idea. But I feel as though that's not a solid enough in. Him just appearing there doesn't necessarily mean he has the in. This is the most
Right.
obvious look. Literally, you could turn into one of these guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I do think it's also, I just thought of this just purely on the thematic, power of what this would be in the story. say Saturn does die, you know where he's gonna die? Under the ocean,
Where?
under the kingdom that him and Imu
Mm.
and all of them have
Oh,
sunk. So this old
he.
person dying in the old world, like that, that's
Wow.
oh, oh,
Especially if the theories are true, and Joy Boy and everyone drowned, and then Saturn would have a taste of that, where he would
oh,
drown as well. Oh man, that would be genius. Genius,
absolutely.
man. Goodness.
Yeah,
After
because
getting hit by Joy Boy, two Joy Boys.
after Joy,
Oh man,
even
injected,
see, I didn't even think about that. I
injected.
didn't even think about the two Joy
Yeah,
Boys part of it as well. But
yeah,
it's
yeah,
even better.
yeah. No,
So
that's that. I love it. I love that idea.
I am curious, what characters do you think we're gonna see? I loved the thing you said about Kobe with him giving the
Yeah.
speech. Um,
Hmm.
actually, I wanna slide you another theory real quick. Another theory, right?
Okay.
So,
Okay.
this actually shows multiple characters what I think they're gonna do because obviously, Smoker is heading to see Kobe, and that's a character we haven't
Yes.
seen in a long time, which is
Yes.
pretty wild, you know. And
Hmm.
you know who? Let me just say this. All right, so we're gonna see Kobe, we're gonna see Smoker, and we're gonna see Diaz Drake, right? You know who all
Yes.
three of these characters have a connection with?
Law.
Law. So
Let's
I'm
go, baby.
thinking Law has to show up with them because I know a lot of people
Mm.
speculate that Law is going to be with the Cross Guild because
Hmm.
Warlord, he'll get further connected with them. He actually thinks Buggy is smart, which is I think the funniest
Yep.
thing, the funniest thing
Hilarious.
about the whole situation, which would be really fun. But what I'm thinking is that Law, you know how Smoker is carrying something on his
Hmm.
bike? I think Law is in the box that's on the back of Smoker's bike.
Ooh,
And
interesting.
I think this for multiple reasons. So, do you remember how Law became a warlord in the first place? It was delivering all these hearts in a box. And Law
That's true.
being delivered in a box, I think would be a fun little segue there. And Law is
I would.
possibly, I don't know if I would say is his most impactful scene, but it's definitely one of them, is when he was hidden in the box by oh my god,
Corazon.
Corazon. Yeah,
Yep.
Corazon, who obviously was an undercover Marine, probably in
Wow.
Sword, you know? And I feel
Wow.
like if he's
I love
going to
that.
meet with Sword, it's very fitting that he's in the box, you know?
I love that, dude. And that would be the connection that we would finally get to maybe Law paying Kobe back for the Rocky Ford incident, or vice
Yeah.
versa as well. It's so good. I like that idea a lot, actually.
I feel
And
like there's
obviously,
so much potential.
Blackbeard is connected to that Rocky Ford incident as well.
Uh
So,
huh. And
like
you know who
Law
just
could, yeah,
fought
I
Law?
love it.
Blackbeard. You see,
Yep,
there's
yep.
so much
So
like
much there.
overlapping, and I think that's so
Yep.
fun. I think as well, they're also obviously hidden because they can't have, these guys coming into a marine base because they're obviously
Hmm.
pirates. But I just think it's so interesting because like the box symbolism could be there, the connections are there. They just fought Blackbeard as well, and Blackbeard and Sword, they're a big no. They all just fought Blackbeard as
Yeah.
well, so they would be literally like perfectly in sync with like, all right, here's what we got to do, and I think that's just fun. And obviously, shouts to Randy, of course. There is the law in Sword theory. There is that as
Yeah.
well,
That's a great
which
theory.
banger theory for sure. But even if he's not, I think him convening with them in the first place adds to
For
the
sure.
grayness of his character, which was
Agreed.
obviously very, very, very much, told to us in Punk Hazard
Yeah.
with the, oh, this is the Marine side and this is the
Yeah.
pirate side. And I feel like this would be a great
Yeah.
moment to bring that back, especially with
Oh,
Smoker, who was the guy who talked to Law about it in the first place.
how cool would it be for the same way that we start off with the post time skip with the announcements of the world that Straw Hats and the Heart Pirates were creating an alliance, and Law being like, I don't want no part of, or Law and Luffy like, of course Law loves those characters much as he wants to deny it. But their alliance like shook up everything in the entire world, especially that 690 message. To now have Law create another alliance, except now it's with members of Sword,
Oh,
or slash the Marines. I think that would be such a cool, uh, also little parallel that we could throw in there, to have like Law be the catalyst for these major alliances that would be the reason why characters like Doflamingo and Kaido go down. And of course, later on, for maybe even someone like Eden going down. Law being like that individual who connects the pirates and the Marines, I think is a really cool thing, especially like we said with the Kodo-san connection.
yeah.
I like that a lot.
I just think the intricacy of that, you know, them coming together would really hit. And obviously, we think Doflamingo is going to return to the story at some point. We don't know when necessarily. People are speculating there's going to be an Impel Down 2 scenario. But I feel as though having Doflamingo eventually returning to the fold and seeing that this kid that he and his brother, you know, raised to be this like, you know, pretty awful person at the end of the day is willing to side with these Marines and help people is really cool. Really cool. I think is I don't know. I just think there's so much potential with this all reconvening of all these different parts that are like, oh, there was always that connection there
Yeah, no, for sure.
with
Wait, can you hear me?
oh yeah, I can, yeah. I I don't know. I just really think there's potential. There's potential. And I'm excited to see all the stuff that, you know, keeps unfolding as the arc ends and then we roll into Elbaf, which is seemingly not too long from now. I do agree that we're definitely gonna have like 4 to 5 chapters of what's it called around the world stuff, and if we do get them, I feel as though we'll probably get around to probably. Oh, I thought my mic cut out as well. Um, I don't know about Vivi. I don't know about Garp, Lar Kid, which is quite a lot of the characters that we focused on. But I do definitely think we're going to see Blackbeard, especially what it was in regards to him having his speech, not his speech, him being shown in Vegapunk's speech in regards to the Will of D. I think we'll definitely see him. And I'm definitely hoping we see more of Roger's crew. Those are the two I'm really hoping we see. Oh, I see. All right, Recon signal is a bit wonky at the moment, but I'm curious to see what's in the chat. Appreciate all you guys for being here. Let's see. Law is in boxes and Luffy is in barrels, and Gaimon's in a treasure chest. I think I'm on to something. Hey, Gaimon could be Joy Boy. You know, we never know. We never know. Law is either being saved by Smoker or Cavendish. Cavendish. I'm really curious to see what you mean by Cavendish. That sounds pretty fun. It's a fun idea. Let me see. Smoker is intertwined with what's happening with Kuzan. Oh, let me see this. Hold up. So Bellamy Kobe, immediately, I do think that Kuzan is more important than Smoker, so I don't necessarily agree with this take. I feel as though Kuzan has a lot of connections with many important characters in the grand scheme. Garp, Luffy, Kobe, Akainu, obviously the other admirals, and Blackbeard. He has a lot of connections with a lot of characters, and Robin, of course, very important character. So I definitely would say that he is more importance than Smoker, absolutely. With him being in such a high position in the Marines, with him having this dilemma internally, with him and Akainu being the two that split off to do different things. I think he's just inherently a more interesting character because of the position he's in, and his ability, obviously, being ice and fire. Not fire. Ice and lava is more interesting to me. I think he has a lot more potential.
We're back.
It's all good. It's all good. I was just looking at some of the messages in the chat. There's been some pretty cool messages, and I appreciate all the people in the chat, of course, for being here at this time.
Shout out to the chat. Shout out to
Absolutely.
the Jap.
Absolutely. So, back to what I was going to ask you though. What characters do you think we're going to see? Because I was going to ask you that, and then I saw the. No, I thought of it. I brought up the law in the box idea.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, which is a great idea. So yeah, I'm definitely expecting Kobe.
Mm.
Definitely expecting, like you brought up, Smoker, Drake, potentially Law. I like that theory a lot. So like that entire thing will probably be a chapter in of itself. I'm definitely expecting that. I'm most certainly expecting uh, a Marines esque, maybe in that same chapter. We're gonna have to
Mm.
see Akainu's response to all this. Obviously, Kizaru has to come back, and we're gonna see maybe what Fujitora and Green Bull. We have to see what's going on with Weevil and Green Bull. So I'm expecting that to happen in post Egghead as well.
The Impel
Um,
Down 2.0.
with the Impel Down 2.0 stuff. So I'm definitely looking forward to next time we're able to cut off over there. Um, I'm very much expecting, like I said, the Emu stuff. We're going to come back to Emu at some point within post Egghead and the Gorosei, and that's going to be super super nice. Um, and then I hope we get to see the other Yonko. I'm
Mm.
not sure how confident I am in that because that could be a post Elbaf thing, but I really would love to see at the very least where they're heading for Buggy, Shanks, and Blackbeard. So I'm
Mm.
hoping that we get to see them, especially if we do get that Garp scene, either in post Egghead or post Elbaf. That would be really nice as well. And then just throwing a random thing into the hat that I would love to see. I would love to see Katakuri and them
Oh,
getting ready to go rescue Pudding. I
that
think that would be
that
a really
would
cool little scene.
that would be phenomenal because the
Yeah, man.
fraud allegations that he's received, it hurts me. It hurts me honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
we know he's a good guy, man. We know he's a
Yep.
good guy, and seeing these fraud allegations, like I get it. The smoke, not smoker, Caesar, beating you. That's a bit of an L, obviously.
Yeah.
But I'm hopeful for the future of this character. He's got
Oh,
too
me too.
much. He's got too much building up, and that would be a great way to reincorporate not just him but Big Mom's crew into the main
Exactly.
narrative again, because
Yeah.
the importance of them is just pudding, and that's it at this point.
Yeah.
Obviously, I
Yeah.
I do think a lot of them are probably still around Wano, looking
Yeah.
for Big Mom, or I feel like
Mm-hmm.
something about her is going to come up in Yamato's cover story. Obviously, I think
Oh,
that has a
that'd be
lot
great.
of potential.
So,
Um,
going into what you said earlier, on that similar line of thought, right before my signal cut out, I was hearing you talk about the Roger Pirates. Do you
yeah,
think we're going to see some of them here in Post Egghead? Because I very much think so.
I'm hoping so. I feel like they, with the, obviously them, well, they knew he was obviously Goldie Roger
Yeah.
forever, but them having
Right.
this, the reactions to other reactions, the
Yeah.
reactions to what they're going to read in the newspaper about the Egghead incident. I'm really
Mm-hmm.
curious to see what they think of all this. Like, oh,
Me too.
a Celestial Dragon was there, not just one, but the Gorosei. Oh, an admiral. Oh, this kid really this kid could be something. And maybe
Exactly.
we'll even see some people outside of Crocus, Rayleigh. Maybe we'll even see like some other ones. Like obviously, there's been the ever mysterious Scopper Gaban. What if he
Yeah.
shows up? That would be pretty wild.
Oh, dude, that would be one of the coolest things ever. It might be time for both him and for us to see maybe that mystery silhouette character as
Mm.
well from the God's Knights or the Man Were by Flames. Like, there's so much potential for a lot of characters that we either have not seen yet or are about to see who could potentially be connected to Roger in that entire situation. So,
Yeah.
very obviously, extremely excited for that. I wanted to ask you as a possibility here in post Ega, because I do think it is going to be the last time we're going to get this before the One Piece is found. Do you think we're going to get our final bounties before the One Piece is found
Oh.
in post Egghead?
Oh my god. Um, I didn't even think about that. Um, I
Because
I
bro,
think
Luffy, the straw is about to go up, man.
they're about to go crazy.
Yeah,
I don't want to say it because I think it'll only happen after he becomes the Pirate King. But the
okay,
5.6 billion is looking
oh, yeah.
It's looking tempting, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's looking tempting, and it's like I don't think it's happening yet. I think.
Hmm.
Ooh, actually, here's what I think might happen. When there was that jump where Luffy had 300 million, and then it was 400 million, right? It was just
Yeah.
a little jump up. What if
Yeah.
it's 3 billion to 4 billion? I think that's possible. You know.
The reason why I like that is because that would put him on Shanks's tier.
Yes.
And if they were to meet after Elbaf and he still has the same bounty, let's just say hypothetically speaking, Blackbeard, Luffy, and Shanks and Buggy would all now have around 4 billion.
Yeah.
Then if whatever were to happen after that, it would be like, okay, they're all according to the world perception wise,
Equal.
they're all in the same tier.
Yeah.
They're all equal. Yeah.
Oh, that's insane. That's so insane. I'm thinking personally, like the way the world perceives them being like the bounties. It's
Yeah.
obviously kind of like meta because that sometimes people in the community see the bounty equals the strength, but
Yeah.
all I'm saying, Jack is not the equivalent to Katakuri, and
That's true.
Katakuri is not the equivalent to
Yeah.
to Zoro.
Yeah, definitely.
Like,
Definitely not talking about from a power scaling standpoint. Definitely just from a perception standpoint. That's it.
yeah, no, but people in the One Piece world might think, oh, Buggy is definitely as strong as
Right.
Luffy or Shanks. Like, they might genuinely believe that.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I think most people in the One Piece world genuinely think Buggy is like like top 5. Like,
Oh yeah, the verse,
Four,
quaking.
the
They're
verse, yeah.
quaking.
yeah, he's kind of quaking. Which, hey, they wouldn't be wrong there. They would not be wrong
Yeah, he shakes the
No.
world up every time he shows up. So,
every time he shows up. Literally and metaphorically.
but yeah, I'm really hoping we see a lot of the just antics that's going on with the other Yonko, especially after the end of the speech where we saw each of their groups reacting to what Vegapunk
Yeah.
was saying. I think there's a lot more potential for that
Yeah.
for sure. And for the bounty increases, I don't know, man. I'm thinking the Sanji bit with him being number 4 is so funny, but I know it's gonna change.
Yeah.
I know it's gonna
For sure.
change. Yeah, because he
sure.
did attack a Celestial, and he did save someone. Like he saved Bonnie. Like
Yeah.
I think it's gonna rise higher than Jinbei, which is unfortunate. You know,
Yeah.
because the number 4 gag is so funny.
Because Mihawk and Crocodile are at 2 and 3, do you see Zoro hitting 2 after this?
I can definitely see it. I can definitely see him
Okay.
hitting 2. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think because Mihawk is definitely 3 billion something. I just don't
Yeah, it was like
remember off the top of my
3.7,
head.
I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
It was something big.
I could see Zoro being like 1.8 because he does the 180-degree stuff, you know? Like I could see that. I'm trying to think of the numbers as well. Like how could I
That would be fascinating. So like he gets the 180 here, and then when the One Piece is found, like around the time whenever he beats Mihawk, he would have like the 360, like the 3.6.
Yeah,
exactly. I like
exactly.
that. Yeah, that's actually really cool.
Because
like it a
that's
lot.
why like the 5.6 bill has always called to me. Like the fact Roger
Yeah.
had a 5.5, it's like it's
Yeah.
inevitable. It's inevitable.
Yeah, it's inevitable, bro. It's inevitable.
Yeah. So I like all the little number games that people could do. I think Robin is hitting a bill for sure.
Easy.
Yeah,
Yep.
no question in my mind. I would love it if Usopp hit 1 billion. I would.
Can you
love it.
imagine?
That would be
Especially
the-
before Elbaf.
Bro.
That would be post Elbaf. Usopp is rocking like 4 billion.
Usopp's a minimum 2 billion.
That's
minimum.
right. Post Elbaf. I love that a lot. Actually, that's such a great idea.
Yeah, I love the bounty stuff. To me, gets fun when you think about like the numbers, where it's not like, oh, the specific rising and whatever. It's like, oh, that would be a fun way to reference this or this, you know. And for Sanji, I'm trying to think. I feel like he's got to be above Jinbei, for sure. But I just don't know. I don't know how above Jinbei. I don't know how much. Do you have a number in mind, or not
No,
sure?
repeat the question again. 'Cause my signal went out for like 15 seconds.
Oh, it's all good. I was just thinking about what Sanji's would be. Like, I feel as
Oh,
though
dude. So it depends. Do you think we're keeping up, like we said earlier, the number 4 gag, or is he jumping up to number 3
no,
again?
I think it'll be three because Wano he was two and then he was
Yeah.
four. I think he'll be three. I think
Okay.
the gag
Especially if
is
this,
great, but
if
I
this is the
think
last
it's
bounty before the One Piece is found too, he's got to be 3. He's got to be
exactly
3.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So if that's the case, it's got to be like a little lower than Zoro's, just for that rivalry to continue
Yeah.
between the two, and for like community hilariousness to ensue. It's got to be like a little lower.
Oh. Actually, I think I just thought 1.79. That just feels right to me. That feels right.
1.79. The other was 1.8. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, I feel like that's got to be it because they've done that quite a bit. I think
Yeah.
I think no joke. I don't know if it was 179 and 180 like exactly, but I think that was the difference between Jabra and Kaku on their like Doriki scale. I think that was like the
Oh, I
exact
see.
numbering too, where it was like one away, and it would be perfect because Kaku obviously was just in the arc, and Jabra did come back as well. You know, he did his thing. He tortured Vivi. You know, I think that would be a fun little way to continue that like one apart thing. I think King and Queen
Do
have
that.
that too. The same
Yeah, if I'm not
one
mistaken.
apart
Yeah.
gimmick. And then all the rest they'll bump up. Usopp 1 billion would be the funniest thing ever, but I don't.
Yo, having Nami be like 500 mil would be so wild. You know how hype I would be seeing that. Like, man,
Yeah,
our cat burglars at 500 mil.
Not Usopp. I was gonna say. I think Chopper's definitely gonna get to like I think another stupidly low number, but it'll be different, of course. Uh, but yeah, I don't know the bounty stuff. I'm more thinking about it now than I ever have, and I definitely think it's likely that this is our final step before the end game bounties. So I'm excited to see the change. I'm excited to even see if we see some like marine bounties, you know, with Buggy's bounty
Oh,
system.
please.
That would be
Yes.
crazy. And maybe I saw in the chat Doran Ross brought up we still haven't seen Dragon's bounty. That would be
Oh,
crazy.
dude. Bro, and listen, if he's the most wanted man in the world, that thing's got to be crazy.
Oh,
It's got to
definitely.
be an insane bounty.
He even brought up in the chat. I wonder if Dragon's bounty says "wanted only alive" or something, like Sanji's in Whole
Oh,
Cake. That would be
or only dead.
crazy. Or only dead too. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of fun potential with the only alive bounty that Oda could cook on for sure. But yeah, I am very excited for the end game of One Piece. I can only assume you're excited as well. Being
Oh man, dude. Listen, like we said earlier, after that chapter, I have been in such a massive mood and thinking about so many different key points, and not only the future of the series, but also the past of the series. I've just been thinking about it a lot, and like, man, we're in such an exciting time where we pretty much have a good estimate in our heads as to like what's left of the series. But the fact that on the horizon is post Egghead, Elbaf, Lodestar, and Laptail is kind of nuts.
yeah,
It's like, oh my goodness, man,
the arc
we're here.
numbers they're winded down. They're winded down. It's crazy because I got into the community after chapter 1,000, not like the exact chapter, but I was reading weekly for a while before I decided might as well start
Right.
rambling on the internet. But this is the first arc I've read like fully weekly, and it's been a great time. The final saga Oda kitchen has been absolutely bringing out some greatness.
Mm-hmm. Each and every single week, dude.
Yeah. So I'm just so excited to see, Elbaf, being possibly the Usopp arc, the Robin arc at this point. I am so excited to see what's gonna come.
Yeah.
So excited.
Yeah, man. Like, and then because we always love talking about inspirations and stuff. This arc, Egghead, has been filled with so many inspirations, not just from classic culture like Astro Boy or stuff that are video games like we talked about before, but clearly in the most recent ones we've been seeing stuff from religions and mythology and stuff of that nature. So the fact that we're heading into an Elbaf that is going to be rich in so much
the
of
lore
that,
piece. The lore piece is gonna go crazy.
Nuts, man. It's gonna go nuts, dude.
Yeah, we'll probably. You know who we'll probably see? One of those old giant chiefs. I forget if it's Yorl or Jarl. We'll probably see him.
Yes,
that'd be pretty fun. Someone insanely old, like he might even know. He might even know what the Void Century is. Like, it's just because of how old he is. He probably has some like direct, oh, someone told me type stuff. Oh man, that's gonna be absolutely fantastic. We need Elbaf to be the, what is that? The everyone arc. Yeah, everyone just shows up. It becomes a massive free for all, or just hectic as possible. That'd be amazing.
That would be so awesome, especially since it's going to be our last adventure. Or obviously Laptail's going to be like the big adventure, but Elbaf feels like the final, maybe self-contained island story arc. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of other stuff like there was an Egghead, but it feels like it might be the final One Piece arc as we know it, where it's a self-contained story with also elements from other pieces of verse. Because it feels like Laptail is going to be the, even though it's going to be an adventure, obviously, it's going to. I don't think there's any self-contained stuff that can be done there. That's like the build-up of the entire series all paying off at that point. So I feel like Elbaf is like the last opportunity to tell a self-contained narrative that also builds upon everything that we know from this point. So it's a lot of exciting stuff there, especially with like Loki and like you said, the returning players that could be coming in from other arcs and stuff. It's super exciting, man. I hope it is a free for all.
Yeah, there's so much. Just what's sticking with me right now is the fact that Oda was so inspired by that Vicky the Viking show. There's going to be some, like we already saw with Shanks, that giant kid from Elbaf, Yeah. I feel as though we're going to get something even more substantial, but instead of it being, obviously Luffy's inspired Momo, Tama, Toko, like so many like kid characters throughout the series. But I feel like this might be the moment where he has his own like I would not even be shocked if there is like a kid character named Vicky, like literally it's like directly on the nose, and it's just like this is because this is what started it all. This is what inspired him to make this series in the first place when he was a kid. So I feel like this could be one of the places in the One Piece world, obviously for Oda, with the most lore, some crazy emotional narrative. Like I really think there's a lot of, and this is outside of what we already know, with Usopp probably getting something, with Robin now probably meeting Saul. I think there's so much potential. I feel as though I just feel as though there's gonna be something like we don't even expect, but in the best way, like a crazy, like it's not even that action, like there obviously will be, but something that's just out of the action, something like that'll tug on the heartstrings. Maybe this is a hard sell, maybe more than Egghead, which is crazy because this arc obviously had an amazing emotional narrative. But I mean, with the potential of people, or you saying?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for cutting off. I was going to say that on that potential emotional attachment and stuff of how the arc has surpassed Egghead there, I've been of the belief that this is going to be the arc we're going to get the Nika flashback before we get the Joy Boy flashback in Laptail. So I feel like this would be the opportunity for us to get the Nika flashback, and I feel like the Nika flashback is going to be very, very emotional. So that is because, the main arc that we know that is connected to Nika is the island of Elbaf. They literally worship the dude. So there has to be some sort of connection that brings them together like that. And I think we're going to see the origins of that and the reason why they attempted to gigantify the humans in Punk Hazard, why that was such a main thing, why they feared them for so long. We might get that here within Elbaf, the Nika flashback, that will then lead into the Joy Boy flashback in Laptail, giving us that final piece of the puzzle of the way the world was, the way the world is, and then we'll have to see how it will be, right? Like it's going to be interesting if Oda decides to go that route and tell the Nika story, then the Joy Boy story, and then the story of Luffy directly after. I think that would be a really cool way to go about the generations of these characters.
Definitely. And I think that would be a great way to just, this is like, we're literally talking about like the end game now, like probably the last few chapters. But I think obviously a lot of people speculate like, oh, Brook is the narrator, which I like that theory a lot. I think that's sweet.
Me too.
But I feel as though that would be a great way to end it. If we're getting the flashbacks of all this stuff, how funny would it be is if all of One Piece was technically a flashback of someone telling, like Brook, telling other people about Luffy's story. Or maybe not even Brook. Maybe it's something even more impactful, like it is one of the people that Luffy inspired, like Isa or Momo, or maybe not Momo. Momo's older than Luffy now, or like Tama or something, or
Sabo is writing a book.
He is writing a book. He is. That would be pretty sick. Pretty sick.
Yamato details it like Odin detailed the stories of Roger. That would also be really cool.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing. All right, so for our final question, Mr. Recon, I do have one last thing, right? So you mentioned that you don't personally think, Luffy might get the One Piece. You personally don't think that's the case. So out of that, who do you think will be the one, if not Luffy, to get the One Piece?
So I do think Luffy's getting the One Piece. I just don't think he's going to be the first one to get it. Like that's because it doesn't specify that like who will be what I meant by that statement earlier was who will be the one to like to either grab it first or to arrive there first. Like I could see us taking the knock-up stream-esque chapter and we finally get there, and then similar to Jaya, we'll see like rather than Blackbeard watching us go up into Skypia, he'll be like the one that like receives us or something. I don't know. Like it's so interesting to me that it could and then Buggy in a similar situation, or like Shanks, where they all like arrive around the same time. I think an interesting thing for thinking of these possibilities besides Luffy, because obviously the way the story is going, I most certainly expect him to not only become King of the Pirates, but to also then achieve his dream after, which is why I think there is a very, very good chance where Luffy finds the One Piece. We have that scene of him becoming the King of the Pirates and all that stuff. But then, because he doesn't care about any of that stuff, and his dream is his actual dream, what about if, through some way, shape, or form, Buggy, Blackbeard, or like one of the two is then believed to be the Pirate King because they found it because Luffy doesn't care about it. So it would be like, I don't know, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, if it's Buggy. Let's just say like they come out. Oh, my AirPods just died. Let me see. Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can. That's so funny.
Hold on. Let me see if I can pull this up. Talk again. Let me see if I can hear.
Yeah. If you can't.
I can't hear.
Unfortunate.
There we go. I pulled the speakers.
Okay.
So like I think it'll be super interesting if like the perception around the world is like Buggy found it or like Blackbeard found it, but in actuality it is that Luffy found it. He just didn't care like about being labeled this title or whatever. Like he accomplished his mission. He did his thing.
and then he will go out and try to achieve his dream afterwards. But I like going back to the original question, I think if it's not going to be Luffy, it's either going to be Blackbeard or Buggy for sure. I feel like Shanks, as much as I love him, not only is the declaration there that he wants to go after it, but I feel like the intent is still going to be that Luffy gets it rather than him, right? So I feel like regardless of what happens, my number one player will forever be Luffy, because obviously he's the main character and he's going to come out with the One Piece. But right next to him on the board is Blackbeard, and then right under that is Buggy. And honestly, because of the way things are going, I could see both after Luffy and Blackbeard like find out the truth. I could see it because Blackbeard's ambitions go even beyond the One Piece as well. I feel like Buggy then would be the one who cares most about this treasure, to where he would proclaim that he found the One Piece. People believe that it was him. And then Luffy and Blackbeard go out for their own ambitions. It's Luffy's dream and Blackbeard's dream that goes well beyond the One Piece as well, becoming king of the world. And so I think if it were going to be one that was not Luffy, it would be Buggy. But like I said, that's because Luffy and Blackbeard's ambitions lie even farther beyond the One Piece. That's my thought.
That's so crazy, because you know what that reminds me of? It reminds me all the way back to the beginning of the story with Buggy versus Luffy, and Buggy only cares about the treasure, but it's not the treasure. It's because it has a connection to Roger. That's why he cared, really, or Shanks. Exactly. He had that connection, obviously, and once all that's out of the picture, like that is his dream. His dream is to uphold Roger's legacy. His dream is to make sure that he can follow in his footsteps. And it's more than a treasure to him because of what's behind it. Meanwhile, Luffy doesn't care about the treasure
at all.
And Blackbeard, he might care about the treasure, but at the end of the day, he has visions of even higher treasure, because he can have all the treasure in the world if he's the king of it.
Yep.
Man.
It's why I could most certainly see Buggy gets the One Piece, Luffy achieves his dream, and then Blackbeard sits on Imu's throne or whatever, right? Like that's the level of ambition that we're looking at with Luffy and Blackbeard, where if Luffy believes the One Piece is a stepping stone to get to where he wants to go, then Blackbeard also looks at it in the very same way, because of how they've been shown in parallel throughout the course of the series. So that's the reason why I see it. And but like I said earlier, obviously Luffy's gonna find it. I'm just curious on how the world is going to perceive said information. That is where it then becomes really, really interesting. Like, will it be Buggy being proclaimed to the planet as being king of the pirate? That would be hilarious, man. That would be with only like a select few individuals being like, "Yeah, Luffy was my pirate king." Everybody else is like, "Nah, Buggy's the pirate king." Buggy.
King.
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, I just think what I'm really looking forward to is, because obviously people could, there's always the possibility that Blackbeard would be seen as the pirate king, but that would throw the world into like complete chaos. And Buggy, Buggy necessarily isn't too bad a guy. He's, because obviously I do think that the world government is going to be not reformed, but they're going to be a new government, helping the world out. But if Blackbeard becomes the king, everything's going to like a horrible place. And Luffy, that would probably be all right, I guess. But, he doesn't want to do that. Buggy, maybe he doesn't want to do that. He's just like, whatever. Maybe you guys can keep doing it. I'm the pirate king.
Exactly.
But yeah, I do agree though with you. Shanks is definitely on the bottom of the totem. He's on the bottom of the totem. He's honestly probably dead at this point in the story. But he'll be there in spirit. It'll be like Goku and Gohan, Luffy and Shanks' ghost are going to fight in Blackbeard together. That would go hard. That would go hard.
Rather than the father-son Kamehameha, it'd be like the father-son Doom Gatling Divine Departure or something.
Yeah, something like that. Luffy,
Yeah.
if Luffy did a divine departure, oh, it's over.
Yeah.
It is.
And then in the panel it shows like Roger and Shanks behind him. That'd be hype.
You know,
That'd be...
okay, this might be dumb, but I just had this thought, and we just hit the hour and a half mark, so this will be one of our final thoughts. What if Buggy does the divine departure? Genuinely, like, I never thought about it until right now, but he might. I feel like that's something that could easily happen in the narrative.
Yes.
I mean,
Dude, I'd be so hyped because once again, just like with the bounty thing from earlier, it would just be like a signal from Oda to us telling us like, yo, Buggy, even though he's been like a comedic, now he'll always be a comedic character throughout the entire series.
absolutely.
But I think that would be like an indicator of, okay, if he uses divine departure, even if it's like a very trollish thing, the perception of it is going to be wild. And that's what I'm so excited about. Like, what? Buggy used the same attack as Shanks, like within the universe. Oh, that would be so good. I would love that. I would so love that. Or like Mihawk responds to her, he's like, "Oh, that's the same move that Shanks uses."
Shanks
like,
uses, oh my god,
that'd be cool. That'd be so cool.
that's crazy. Like, honestly, maybe then Mihawk will be like, "I can follow my dream, my true ambition." You know?
Right? Yep.
Oh my god, that's so fun. But yeah, with that was a wild way to end it. I just had that thought. And I was just like, you know what? Why
Yeah,
not?
that was a great thought, dude. That was great.
Absolutely a blast talking to you once again.
Absolutely.
As always.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, we're getting close to the end. We're getting close to the end, and I feel as though having conversations like these are really cool, like time capsules to show where we are at the time, where the community is at the time, what we're thinking. Yep. Like that silhouette guy, we have no idea who that character is. We might we might in a year, we might next chapter. We don't know.
Yep.
And it just shows like the perfect blip in time. I think literally the last time we talked as well, there was something that we were talking about that was then revealed like really soon after.
Yes. I forgot what it was, but yes.
Yeah. It's so fun. I think it had to do with like Mihawk or something. I don't know why Mihawk is really in my head for that.
Yeah, you're probably right. Honestly, I don't recall.
Yeah, but
exactly.
There was something. Yeah. But yeah, with that, do you have any final thoughts, closing words?
Dude, well, first and foremost, as always, it was a pleasure, man. I'm looking forward to next time we're able to do this. These are always fun. Can't tell you the amount of times that I've said on stream, it's like, oh yeah, Evan and I talked about that, or I'm like, or something like that, because we've cooked on so many of these things that it's always a fun thing when we see something similar to it happening on stream. So shout out to Kev's Milk Girl coming in in both the anime and the manga. Looking forward to seeing.
Was she in a recent episode? I might have to watch it.
No, she was in 1080. What was it? 9, the Lucia episode.
Yeah.
But now, she was recently in the manga as well. But
was indeed.
For the One Piece greatness, you guys already know. We are heading into another magnificent set of chapters soon. Like Kev said earlier, I'm in total agreement with him. I think we're like 1 or 2 chapters left in Egghead before we head into post-Egghead, taking us into Elbaf. So the remainder of this year is going to be absolutely insane in both the anime and the manga, because the anime is about to hit like the Galaxy Impact stuff and the Around the World stuff. So that's super, super fun. But man, final Saga Oda after that most recent chapter. If you don't think One Piece is ending soon, and by soon I mean within the next like 10 years, then that chapter was most certainly the biggest indicator so far of like, yes, the series is coming to a close relatively soon. And so exciting stuff is on the horizon, and it was, as always, it was a pleasure, bro. And hopefully next time we talk like this, we'll have so much
even
other greatness
craziness.
that has taken forward,
even more
that we can have another discussion like this. So very, very excited, man.
Yeah, I do remember last time we talked, we were like, oh, we're going to Sphinx Island, right? Oh my god.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Uh, I will say I'm so excited for the anime. Like I still haven't seen that Shanks episode. I still haven't seen it. I'm waiting for like this block of peak to just build up
Mhm.
like that, and then Kobe, and then like
Buggy.
more Kobe, Buggy. Like so much is gonna happen. I'm so excited to watch it,
Emu
see it like
Emu voice
alive.
reveal in a couple
Emu,
weeks.
Emu possibly just being Dio Brando. Like I
Yeah,
can't imagine hearing Emu talk. It'll be
that would be
crazy.
it. Oh man.
Yeah, but yeah, as always, absolute pleasure. Much love to everyone in the chat. Appreciate you guys for listening to us ramble
Mhm.
about one of the greatest, or maybe the greatest series of all time.
Mhm.
Maybe it's all subjective, but
Yes.
until the numbers say it's over Superman, it's all subjective.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
But yeah.
Wait until the day that happens. We'll have a field day on my channel.
Oh, it's over. It's over, bro. It'll be like maybe it'll happen on Christmas, and you'll just be wearing a Santa hat already,
Yep.
and then you
Yep.
put on a second Santa
That's right.
hat.
For a Santa hat level chapter and that.
Oh, the combo,
Yes, sir.
right there.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, absolute pleasure. And next time we talk, hope it might be an egghead, or maybe even Elbath. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. Goodness gracious! Could you imagine that? We're in the middle of an egghead discussion video, or I'm sorry, an Elbath discussion video. Like,
Oh my god.
that just sounds crazy to me, bro.
Guys, Robin just met Saul. Guys.
Oh man. It's like y'all, Loki's a fantastic character, y'all. Oh my goodness. Usopp is doing big things.
Usopp pulled the hammer. He pulled the hammer up.
He pulled Thor's hammer out.
Yeah, Thor's hammer.
Like
he got Mjolnir.
Like it's the master. Like it's the master sword. Could you imagine? They have Thor's hammer. Nobody's pulled this thing out in 800 years, and Usopp just comes in and pulls it out, and they're like, "Whoa!"
That's one of my favorite. Like, I believe it, but it's like a gag theory because it's like I think it will happen, but in like a stupid way. Because Kid will be on Elbath, obviously.
For sure.
Kid will be there, and Kid is gonna try and pull the hammer, whatever Mjolnir, and Kid, he's not worthy. He's not worthy of it. And I think, hear me out. Instead of it being like the sword and the stone, it's the hammer, and it's like it's grown into the tree. That one Elbath tree. I feel like that would be a really cool. That would be cool way of showing it, and that might be the Adam tree. Maybe.
Yeah,
we don't really know.
Yeah, especially if we get the Nika flashback, that could be our connection to how the One Piece world was created, right? With the Adam tree and stuff like that. I think that'd be really cool.
Definitely. And I think they're just going to be walking around some Elbath, doing, beginning of arc things. And maybe Usopp sees the what's it called? The, not hilts of a hammer, but like the area where you hold a hammer, right?
Yeah.
And he'll see it, and it'll just look like a branch, and he'll just touch it, and then it will just fall out of the tree immediately. Like, it's got to be something like that.
And it's gonna ring like a massive gong, and we're gonna five reaction panels. Like, what?
Everyone just looks at him like, and he's like, "Huh? What's going on?"
It's like the king has arrived.
God, Usopp, he's real. It's just something so simple.
Goodness.
But it would be great. It would be great for Usopp. It would be. And
oh
my god, I didn't even think about it. But Usopp has always had that plant affinity. So it being in a tree, it made it even better. It just made it even better, man. I never even thought of that.
Oh man.
But yeah, Usopp ramble aside, we love talking about him, of course. Fantastic stream. Appreciate the convo, and shouts to everyone in the chat. I'm now actually ending the stream. I love how we did like a whole outro, and it's like, oh, but Usopp. All right.
That's how it works.
Obviously, make sure to check out my guy here, King Recon, as always. Every stream you gotta be there. You gotta be there because you don't know if the Santa hat's coming out, the foam finger, you don't the jersey. You don't know. You don't know.
Yeah, all based on Oda's greatness. That chapter.
Exactly. But yeah, that ending the stream.